Shelley, to you or to Fred, but I thank you both for really getting at this thing, because, you know, I walked through the review system and wasn't totally satisfied with how it was being conducted, but I think the steps you're taking here are really going to help out. You know, and these things, I see Mrs. Sturdy out there. She contacted me a couple of years ago and brought some things to my attention, which I brought to your attention, to Steve's and to Shelley. But I do see that these steps, and especially with this national expert looking at it and sitting actually, walking through the whole procedure, is going to be very helpful in making better drivers, making better train operators for the safety of all concerned here. So I thank you.
I agree with Lynn. I think this is a great step, Fred. A couple of questions with the expert, and Shelley, maybe you can help here. You're talking about all the people that become involved. Is that expert a part of that process, or are they reviewing then whatever information you have found? So do they come in towards the end of it? Are they, you know, here for the overall review, or how does that process work?
Because we live in such a great electronic age, for example, with the fatality on the 17th, we were able to pull together all the information that the committee would be reviewing at the debrief. And we were able to give our expert the materials in advance. Then when we actually held the meeting, he was able to join us electronically and participate in that way. And it worked well. I think there's a few things that we'd like to get some video streaming that, you know, our IT department is committed to helping us do that very quickly, and I think that will make it even better. But we were able to bring him in electronically.
Okay.
Yeah, with the full review, I mean, the package of information that everybody had, this was maybe the point that Lynn had made last time, wasn't available for all the individual participants. It is, including the person who was remotely connected.
Shelley, just one thing. On that stretch where that is no trespass, do we have cameras there? That's just something. Are there cameras there so that the stream of information would also show who was there and what was going on?
There's not cameras out on the right-of-way, so the answer is no.
Generally, our closed-circuit television tends to be at the station platforms themselves. It tends to be both for personal security, that is, reporting if there is an incident, the police can use that to be able to take action. You've seen some of that, but it has been focused on the station platforms themselves or at park and rides where there have been issues around criminal activity, but not in terms of an area. In this case, if you ride through there, you will see, I mean, it's a very wooded area. You really kind of are coming down over a hill on a trail, if that's one of the ways, or you're passing through by the no trespassing signs.
My reason for asking that was that if this is a blind spot or something of this nature where the train would pick up anything, anyone on the track at, you know, without the opportunity, the reaction time and everything else, maybe it would be a good idea to look at that as an area to place a video screen camera or something like that.
Well, let's take a look. It's wide enough. I think it's going to be some challenging. For example, on the tunnel itself, we have intrusion alert. And so we know, and by the way, it is not uncommon that somebody decides they're going to go into that tunnel, whether it's seeking shelter or seeking, who knows. We actually had a drunk who drove up there one time. Because I think, remember, got all the way to Washington, or to the park, almost to the Washington Park Station platform. We do have that time. That works well because it is a very defined area. Here, you know, out in this area, we have animals going through there, it's other things. Now, it's one thing to be able to have CCTV that may record and be available for information after the fact. If it's really meant to be able to alert to an intruder, that may be a little more challenging. But we'll explore and see whether there's something that can be done there. We have not generally had problems in this area. the intrusions on the right-of-way have been more in the spot from Lloyd Center on up to about 82nd up to Gateway, where there have been some homeless camps and people have kind of gone in and out across the trackage way. But I don't recall any other incident in the Wallula Cut.
No.
So,
I just wanted to say that Lynn and Darla Sturdy have pushed us to adopt best practices and move beyond compliance or, the standard that we were observing to a new standard. And I think that's befitting of an agency that's regarded as one of the best in the country. So I know that you have to put yourself out there to do that. And I hope this is the step that's going to get us to making it as good as we can be. I think that's the intention.
absolutely. Again, I think that what the expert brings, not just expertise, but brings also a set of outside eyes to an incident, and really can ask the kind of questions because of that expertise and experience that individual has from across the nation. Have you thought about this? Have you looked at this? Have you done this? And I think that we would hope that we would find and ask all those questions ourselves. This assures us that those questions will be asked.
Okay.
What I'd like to do is to go back, though, on one other element of this that I think is a very important element, and that is the preventability piece, because this is really looking at what the operator, and this is generally less an issue on the rail side, although once in a while it is, but more so when you are actually maneuvering a vehicle that you have control over where you steer it. I mean, obviously the trackage on the rail provides only one alignment. But each of these determinations are made about preventability. And I told you that it's a very high standard. It isn't just who was right or who was wrong, but was it preventable? I'm asked Shelley first maybe say a little bit more about the preventability. And then there are two individuals representing the Amalgamated Transit Union, because of course any issue that comes up that is around if a determination is made about preventability, it can result in discipline, and therefore it's an issue of obviously a part of labor relations. And I think you will hear some interesting perspectives from the officials from the union, both the vice president of the union and also one of the executive board officers, to be able to speak to that. But first, Shelley, maybe you can just talk about the process, and then I'd like to have Sam and Michael come join.
It's important to know when we talk about preventability, it's different than liability. You as non-professionals, if you get in an accident, someone's going to decide liability based on fault. Preventability is a much higher standard. And we get our preventability guidelines from the National Safety Council, which is an organization that nationwide has dedicated themselves to ensuring safety and health in the workplace. And there are over 53,000 organizations that use the National Safety Council guidelines. So it really says, did the operator do everything reasonably possible at this higher standard to avoid or prevent the accident? Did they follow their SOPs? Did they follow the training that they've been given? Did they take extraordinary measures to make sure that the accident didn't happen? So it's important to remember it's a much higher standard than what each of you or myself face every day. Preventability, as Fred said, that determination triggers impacts to their safe driving status, it impacts the training that they receive, and it can result in disciplinary consequences.
Okay. Thank you, Shelley.
Can I just add that the National Safety Council expert that we're working with, it's a nice fact that he actually helped to draft and write the information that's contained within this manual. So it's really great for us to be able to have that level of expertise participating in our process.
And do you have the video conference facility to be able to accommodate the sessions?
We're putting in Skype, which will help us to achieve that goal. That's new technology for me, but I understand it works quite well.
Will that be at Center Street?
Yes, it will.
All right.
Just one other issue, because I think it is, and I've talked to Fred and Shelley about it, and that's to intensify defensive driving, the defensive driving courses that are available with that. We'll maybe intensify what we do there in the future, because it helps everyone.
Well, and we're, can explore that. Obviously, right now, anybody who has had a preventable accident or is observed by one of our trainers or field supervisors or others of doing something that we just don't think is quite satisfactory, they will have mandatory requirements to be able to go through defensive driving. And what you're really asking is to make that broader, and we're going to have to see how we can best do that, how to focus it, but the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Thanks, Shelley.
Thank you.